Hi. Okay, so this is take two. I apologize. It might be a little bit noisy today. I'm gonna walk through this really quickly. So let's go into window here. All right. So it started the analysis on the weekly. Just a quick little adjustment here. So here I marked an area where we rejected. Well, we rejected once, and then we have been having a hard time coming over this area here. So as you can see, where we closed yesterday was right at that rejection level from October. But the week before we had closed just right above it. So we don't need to get too nitpicky. I mean, if you're trading smaller time frames, the weekly is just going to give you a high level review. If we can all agree, we're in an uptrend. We could see that even on the daily chart time frame. So again, here we can agree that we are in an uptrend. Textbook wise, it means higher highs, lower highs, and we're trending above moving averages, and the moving averages are in order. So that means the whatever moving averages you use. I've got a bunch on here that I hide and then bring back all the time, but let me close some of them to make it a little bit cleaner here. So as you can see, we're trending above 10, 20, and 50 here, smooth line. And so this gives the context of the overall trend, which in the market, we tend to have an upward drift. So what am I looking at today? So I've been doing a lot of trading on the 5-minute chart time frame, which is great for this little intraday trades and a little bit of scalping. I had started the 5-minute chart to fine-tune my entries. And the only thing with the 5-minute, though, is if you watch that, you will miss the majority of the move because you will psych yourself out. So this week or this coming week, I'm going to focus on the hourly chart to get myself out of the 5-minute madness. And here. All right. Now we're on to the hourly. And what are we seeing? Someone had asked, like, what's going on? And what's going on is indecision. So typically after any run, we have a period of, so we had a run up, then we came down a bit, and now this area is like, should we go up? Should we go down? We don't know. The pre-market is up, so let's see if that holds. And if so, remember this line was drawn at the weekly line, and I can go ahead and just remove it here and really just take a box to get the majority of this. Here we go. All right. So this is kind of our shelf. We want to break above or break below. And now in pre-market, we see that the market is up, so we may pop above. So there may be a retest to this shelf that would give us an entry. On occasions, the stocks, on occasion, the movement in the beginning of the day can also be like a gap and go, so continues to build up. And in that case, so for example, this is like a gap and go here. What you would do is find an entry point as long as it was holding above a certain level here. So let's take a look at recent past levels. Hold on here. Okay. Let's see. So recent past levels here. This area is, if you're doing a shorter intraday trade or day trade, you would be, for me, this would be the first level that I would scale out at, just because at this level, let's say we were able to start at 69.20. Once the market opens, I'm not sure where we will start, but Let's say we were able to start there. This would be the first test here of resistance just based on this previous area here of resistance. Actually, let me see if there's some daily lines. So yeah, they were pretty good on that. And then of course, the next levels, and you don't have to scale out. You just have to be mindful that the move might pause, which could be a pullback at that area. And that's what you want to remember, like what all these lines are for. Not necessarily that we're done with the move, but there are areas where, as you can see, like at this area here, this area here is drawn from the tip of this, of the Friday, December 26th candle. So the tip there, you see all that noise in that area. So this is how you draw your key levels. You look up past data and determine whether there was a pivot so any major pivots or any key levels that are very noisy, like here, this is just noise. So noise just means a lot of sideways. So if I am getting into this, if I were to get in it now without considering a gap at the open, then my first level that I'm going to assess or expect some kind of resistance will be here. This is the second one. And then if we made it all the way here in a day trade, at that point, I would take everything off the table, maybe leaving a contract on if it, broke a new high before it rolled over. But that would be a great day trade. So almost 40 points. All right. So that's looking at the hourly. Then just for the S&P, I'm going to go down to the 5-minute chart. Not because I'm not trading this, but I look for entries. Well, I was trading it, but that's a video for another day. But the primary reason to trade it was to get better at recognizing when the daily and the hourly said, okay, let's go. Then I'd come down to the 5-minute to look for an entry, but I did get stuck in this time frame and it wasn't very pretty. So this moves really fast and really whippy. Yesterday was just whipping around back and forth in a pretty tight range, popped up, then in a range. It was anyone who had made it in early in the day here was able to get some profit to the upside. Maybe you got some to the downside if you're doing the 5-minute. I personally was in and out and just really crushed some of my profits from the week. So don't do like me. When you're seeing, when you see something like this, you really think that you kind of get in this like, oh, I don't want to miss the breakout, but you can wait. It would have been much better to let it break out, pull back, and then get in on the second leg when you're seeing something like this, versus like trying to anticipate every breakout here on a day like this, right? So if you've got a smooth day like this and you got in and it's working, pops up, you can add here, or you can just get in here, right? But this is smooth. This is way choppy. So it never unchopped yesterday, and that's just a bunch of that indecision that you're seeing. We'll see where we land at once the market opens. And as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and box this in the upper half of this noise. So if we pop above it, maybe there will be a retest to the top of this box or to this level here. So it's whether you use boxes or levels. This is 69.24. So somewhere around here, I'm looking for. It just depends on how much we gap up at the open if we do. So around here, if we start to press above and hold, then there may be some entries to the upside. And alternatively, we could pop up and start selling off. So as we start going into the lower part, if we do go into the lower part of this range, like 69.18, then I'm looking for the entry to the downside. But as I mentioned, you don't have to take that first you don't have to be first in line. You can, if it's a solid move, you will have an entry to the downside or to the upside, even here, even though that eventually did break down. But let's go a little bit further here. So we popped up, and then anywhere here was an entry for this move here, which was about 34 points. So that is for the S&P. Let's take a look now. Oh. Timer. Okay. And all right, let's look at. So I had been trading the S&P primarily, but the pros of trading one asset, and I did that for I put myself on probation because when the market gets moving, sometimes I'll put a ton of positions on in different names, and that has hurt me. It worked until it didn't. So I just have to change how I do it. It's not that I cannot put a lot of different names on, but I have to watch, of course, sizing. And one thing I would always do is if the one position was going south, I would close them all. And it's like, no, don't do that because the stocks move individually. So you can get something that's just like shooting up while the market's going down. Or if the market is sideways like this, you can get a move up or down on an individual stock, right? So giving you that backstory because I was trading just S&P, which helped with just focus and waiting on a move. But yesterday just showed me that if the market is choppy and I want to participate, I can't participate in something that looks like this. So it would have done me well to just pick a few names on my stock list. It wasn't because I was picking a few names to be greedy and to like put a position on in every name because everything was booming, but it's because I just wanted a good setup, and the S&P was not providing me that yesterday. So let's go over to, I've got a few stocks here. I'm just going to go look at we will look at the daily. Let's take a look at Palantir. Okay. So Palantir is in a bit of this is the daily, and it's been in a bit of a range. I'm sighing like I'm not in it. I don't own it. After it got to this point here, past like, even let's just say 150, it's been just up and down. So right now this is the range for Palantir, 170 to 190, and we've got some outliers here. I do see that, but if you notice, just in general, we've got a higher low here, but then we have a lower high, and then we have a higher low. So it could be that maybe this is not rolling over, but maybe this is just consolidating, getting ready for a more sustained move it could be to the upside, but we'll see, right? So right now it's just very volatile. This area here, it's been, look at that. So this is really what you want to look at. So this is very clear. Did I click this here? All right, this is a very clear area of rejection around that 188 mark, and you can see, and I can move this down here too. So anywhere when the price got around to this area, Palantir had a hard time holding up. So definitely popped up above here, but you'll see the noise there, and then it came down. Again, we're on the daily chart. So if I were to be buying this for my portfolio, I wouldn't. But if I wanted to, I would just make sure that it was holding above some of these levels. Depends on where you got in. I would probably want to see it hold I would say hold above this area here. Otherwise, I'd probably just try again later. What one thing that if you're buying for the longer term, it does matter where you get in. It does matter. Like you're not trying to be in here and then sit in red for the next few months. So there are better areas where you can get in. And right now, if you were to want to get into this one, just as long as it, pick your level down here where you wanted to see it hold. The other thing is it could also just continue to chop. So there are other names that are smoother right now, giving back bigger, not bigger, but giving back gains and sustaining them versus something like this. If I'm going down to the hourly, if I were to trade this, right now you can see that I've got this above and below lines. I'm actually going to bring this here because this is the movement from yesterday. Started here. So if I'm trading to the upside, I want to make sure just to start my trade here. And this actually looks like it's trying to build a little base here. So we may see a few candles going sideways before it goes up. And then if we see a breakdown here of 175, then it may be a continued short. But I don't think so. I think it's going to go up before it goes down if it goes back down. Yeah, so I think that in the morning, I see it at 177, just to kind of feel out what it's doing in this area here before you make your decision. But then if I were to trade it, my first target is going to be that just about 10 points to the upside, but really looking to reach here around that same peak here around 194, 195. So I'll go over one more because otherwise I think the market, so the market will open and then and then I'm scrambling. Okay, AXP, I haven't traded this in a while. I traded a lot in, I think, November, December, and maybe November. I love AXP. I feel like it's one of those stocks that have a positive drift. And as you can see, the pullbacks usually get bought up pretty quickly, and we get a pretty good run. Right now, though, let's look at this. So we're on the daily. I'm going to go ahead and box this up. So what I'm walking through, the things that I'm walking through with you are how I just look at the data. And let's say that I am bullish on this, like I might wait to get in based on where it's at, right? So I'm going to put a box here. This is daily chart, boxing that in. I think that line is good. I'm going to bring this line here. So again, today's focus is the hourly. So we're kind of at the top of this box, which again, the box doesn't mean the move has to be contained in there, but you will see. And I am the box theory is something that I learned on YouTube from Doug and Sylvia Rumor. And the concept is not like unique to them. People use boxes and lines and ranges, but I think that they have a really good way of explaining it. So, when you're trading like in the short term, especially if you've got a nice range like this, you can go on the smaller charts, trade this up, trade it down, trade it up, trade it down, trade it up, trade it down. And when you want to buy for let's say you're buying for the upside, you want to really start your position somewhere here, like at the bottom of the range. And if you're trading to the downside, you want to start your position here at the top of the range, right? So again, we're on the daily chart. Let's move to the hourly, which is the one that I'm going to get back into trading before I get back to, I'll eventually get back to the daily, but not right now. So I'm going to lower this line to here. That kind of, well, no, here. All right. So we got an outlier wick there, and then I'm going to go ahead and raise this bottom line. So on the hourly, this is the thing. If you are looking at we're looking at things like ranges and boxes to know where we're going to enter on a move. Your first thing is the top-down analysis. So I'm on the daily chart, and we can all agree we are still in an uptrend. So in general, the uptrend is strong, right? So you can go ahead and not trade to the downside at all and just wait for a better setup for the uptrend. So on the hourly, what I'm seeing here, when I'm showing you this range, we're not necessarily waiting to go all the way down here because it might not go down that far, but we do want to see it break and hold this level up. So then we're looking for an entry if it does that. And then let's say I get in, let's say that the market, so here is the close. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, okay. So here's the close for the day, and you can see in pre-market it's up here. So it was around 382, and now it's at 384 and a half in pre-market. So now what I want to see is, are we going to push up? Are we going to open in pre-market and continue building up above this line? Then I'd have to be very particular about my entry. I'd look for that on the 5-minute chart, but then I'd want this move to hold this line. I can even lower my stop down to the top of yesterday's high. I'd want it to just stay above that area. Even if I get a few wicks below, that's fine, but I want most of the work to be above that range. Now, ideally, if I was bullish on this, I would have started a position yesterday. Anytime here where you're seeing the wicks come down to the bottom of that range, which was you can do anywhere here. So let's say that this didn't exist yet and you're seeing this, but you're bullish on Amex, then once you start seeing you can see this on the 5-minute chart, it start to develop right here. Let me put a line there. All right, we got a line. So let me look at the 5-minute chart. Okay, here's my line. Once you start seeing it do this thing, and we already established where the level is going to be, right? Because we've come up, we've come down, we've come up, now we're back down. Then based on the hourly and the daily information, then it's a go. We look at the 5-minute and we're looking for areas where it's starting to build down here. And yeah, it did come back down to test it. So maybe this was early, and depending on where your stop was, maybe you got stopped out, but then you can get back in here and start to build. So I don't know if this is going to come back down here, if this was it for it, but if you're bullish on it and you don't think so, then what I'm expecting is this to break above this area and actually hold today and start to build more on this side. So that's kind of how I look at levels and price action and movement and structure. So if y'all have any questions, just leave them in the comments, and hope y'all have a great trading day. All right, bye.